Hey everybody, how you doing? So, a couple of things. I've noticed that there's been a little bit of confusion as to how filial generational pairing works. Well, I wouldn't say how it works, but more how to label it. And so I wanted to come up with a really good idea really quick, and so I did. I used this Miro planning app, and I put together some sort of a visual representation of how you're meant to label your filial generational pairings. Now, keep in mind that filial is something that is done in sequence. It's not the word family or familial, it's filial. So, a couple of really quick things that I'll tell you is that in order for you to get to the next filial generation, you must have the same filial generation paired together. So, for example, if you have P1 to P1, this is your initial parents. We are setting a goal, and the goal is that we're going to establish the male phenotype. So keep that in mind. But the male phenotype is what we're going for here. So we're going to keep moving that down the line. He has a specific look that we need, and that's going to be what we work on. So, that being said, if you put P1 to P1, this is a very vigorous animal. It's not going to have any inbreeding done to it. You got your male, you got your female. P1 to P1 can only create an F1. Okay, now I put a female there. Your backup male's down here in case you ever need it. I put your female there. I'm going to go one at a time. Just kind of give you a visual representation of how to be labeling these things. Now, keep in mind, this is something that when you're going to learn it, don't look for reptiles and don't look for a lot of reptile keepers. Look for biology, look for some sort of other species where they teach you how to do this so that you're doing it right. Okay. Now, going to the next step, I'm going to bring this down. Back crossing always reverts back to the filial sequence or generation after the earliest ancestor. Okay, and I'll give you a couple of examples of that as we go. Just keep in mind, you're going to go to the next filial sequence after the earliest ancestor. So if we take this daughter over here and we pair her now back to her dad, that's going to give you an F1. It's not going to give you an F2. That's not how that works. So this is going to be an F1, and it's the first back cross. So you would put BC1 for back cross 1. Now, I went ahead and put the female in there because we're going to move her along, but there's your backup male in case you ever need him. And I am color coordinating these just so you know. If you then take your initial parent, the P1 animal, and you pair it to the first back cross, this is his daughter and granddaughter. That is going to give you in sequence what is called an F1. Again, back cross 2 though. This time you remember you are back crossing to the original P1 animal. This is not an F3, it's not an F2, it's not any of the above. It's P1 to F1, which creates F1. And it is a second back cross. That is exactly what you have. Here's our backup male in the event that we need it. If you think you have F3 or F4 in this situation, you do not. That is not how that works. Coming down the line here, the line's getting pretty stable, but you'll notice that I made a change here. Okay. I'm taking the F1 male from right up here, and I decided to put it to the F1 back cross 2. Now, I'm going to go across here and show you. F1 back cross 2 is this generation down here. It's the daughter granddaughter, if you remember. Now, if I bring that down here and pair that to the F1 male, what am I creating? With this specific pairing, which is an outlandish example that doesn't follow the sequence of events from the top row, I would be creating an F2. F1 to F1 creates F2 every single time. Okay. You can't get away from that. Now, back cross 2 is relevant so that you can understand how often you've been going back to the original parent. You want to keep those notes, but F1 to F1 always creates an F2. This is a generational filial generation forward, so you would not put a BC anything here because you did not back cross this animal. This is a forward sequence. And then you can see here that I put a male down there in case we need it in the future. It is color coordinated. Now, moving over, we're going to take this female, we're going to put her back to the original parent from the top left, and that is going to go F2 all the way to P1, and we are going to have an F1 backcross 1. There is some argument that this could be technically noticed or and described as a backcross 3. That is actually an argument that I'm not willing to die on a hill for. If you feel like you want to label it that way, I completely agree with you that you should be able to. But just note that it's a back cross. You are no longer moving forward in filial sequence. You're actually moving backward because you went back to the original phenotype and then pushed it forward once more. This F2 animal will be extremely locked in on that look, likely, which is why you chose this pairing in the first place. Keep in mind that your goal is the look of the animal and not necessarily that you are inbreeding the shit out of everything, right? So, and right here you can see I put a male in there in case we might need it. Now, moving forward, we are going to take this right here, the F1 BC2, and we're going to put it to an F1 BC3. Now, you'll notice I did not put a box together for the F1 BC3. I'm going to need you to go ahead and use the education you have already from this video and just apply your imagination. This is going to create an F2. Okay, you got your F1 here and you got your F1 there. F1 to F1, no matter how many back crosses are in there, creates F2. I hope that makes a lot of sense. Here's our backup male. I wanted to put that there for you as well. Okay. Now, this works if you're down into future generations and things like that. I want to go ahead and throw this one out there. Now, I don't know why, but if you take your F2 female from up here, right? Keep in mind, we are extremely inbred by the time we get to this animal, but this right here is something that looks like it's like, I don't know, in leopard geckos, you'd be like, what, 30 years into the future? And by the time you got to this F2 female, I think you'd be at about 8 years in or maybe 7. The math isn't that important, but you got this like 7, 8 year old, super stable look, and you're going to, for whatever reason, it's just not stable enough. You took it all the way to F9 back cross 4, and you have a male that you pull, and you bring it all the way back to great 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 grandparent from 18 years ago, or however that works out. You pair these two together. I just kind of want to know if anybody can tell me what this animal is going to be in filial sequence based off of what I've just taught you. I'm going to give you a second to think about it. Go ahead and write it down. And when you are done, do me a favor and comment on the video down below if you listened to what I said and you actually got it right. So I would like to know that. All right, time is up. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So an F9 back cross 4 to an F2 female would be an F3. All right. If you didn't get it right, go back to the beginning of the video where I explained a couple of the rules. I did keep this pretty light so that I don't overly confuse anybody, but you'll hear it at the very beginning of the video and you'll know exactly why it is an F3. Comment down below and let me know if you got it right or if you have anything you'd like to add. All right. That's all I got for today for you guys. Filial sequencing is not that difficult to understand. I would definitely take those notes in case you end up in a situation where you are, back crossing and you end up at this F2 situation where you put an F1 to a BC2. You are down the line with that inbred animal. But when you do bring it back to the P1 father, I do want to keep something up in your head. And that is that he has his own parents. And both of those parents have 50% different genetics in that father. So when you back cross, you aren't creating super inbred animals, even from your forward generations. You are actually taking from 2 different parents each time before him, and you are cleaning things up just a little bit. Now, is it going to be a little less vigorous of an animal? Yes. Do you have the potential for bottlenecking? Absolutely, you do. But you're going to be selectively breeding anyways, so keep in mind that you're going to be looking for those body and head structures, tail structure. Look for the 5 fingers and toes. You're going to be doing everything you can to pick the best animals and end up with the best results. You'll probably never get to F9 BC4. If you ever do, call me because we got to go to therapy together. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day and that you learned something from this. If you have anything to add to it, That's what comments are for. I'd love to read it. Reach out to me. You guys have a wonderful day, and that Gecks out.